Thank you, Amit. Um, in fact, I'm going to speak about analytics more rather than business intelligence. And that's something which is a very used and abused word. I'm going to try and demystify that a little bit. But prior to that, when I was asked to speak on this particular event, and I was thinking about how exactly is this relevant to what we do in our day-to-day life. So this is what happened on this weekend. My daughter, 9-year-old, she asked me about information related to Suez Canal. What exactly is Suez Canal? She was learning about world geography. So whatever I remembered, I explained to her Mediterranean, Red Sea, and it's basically for easing the business, ensuring transportation, and so on. She did not agree to that definition, and she said, I want to know more. And this is what we did. We opened up the laptop, we went on Google, we Googled, we went on to Wikipedia, and we went on to YouTube. I actually demonstrated to her on the YouTube, showed her a couple of pics, I showed her a couple of videos, and the explanation on Wikipedia of what exactly Suez Canal is. I was then trying to relate this back to 35 years back when I was a kid, and I was trying to learn the same thing. To achieve the same information or to learn the same thing, I had to walk 3 kilometers to either the public library during off-school hours or to my school library to understand this. I bought my first encyclopedia when I was, if I'm not mistaken, 12 years old, and I was completely gaga over it. I used to treasure it. It was one single book. It was not a voluminous encyclopedia. I used to treasure it a lot. And on that particular Sunday, my father was in my house, and we were just chatting up after this incident. And he told me during his education times in 1940s, the only way that he could have access to this information was speaking to his teacher, who had the information in his head, in his mind. And that's it. Nobody else had that information. So we have seen over the last 80 years the way we have urbanized from mind, knowledge in the mind, data in the mind, to books, books to internet. What's the relevance to governance actually? Couple of things. If I look at my agenda, it talks about how data can be transformed to information and information to intelligence. And then I'm going to talk about what different applications we have. I'm going to make a little bit of sales pitch and try to keep it more generic so that we are very, very brief. Honestly, neither am I, or I believe my organization, an expert on what business you conduct. You know your business better than any one of us. What we're going to try and talk about is our experiences of how people have managed to convert data to information and information to intelligence. So there are two ways to look at it. One is people will, organizations, government, bodies will look at information or data. So if you really analyze, nothing happens in a government office without data or without having some kind of written document. Document means data, data means information. Again, there are two ways to look at it. People may say that I am almost drowning in data. I have so much data, I don't know what to do with it. There's a deluge of data. But the other way to look at it is, can I turn this data into some kind of information and this information into some kind of intelligence? And these are the set of questions I want to ask. And this is the statement of discovery. I can ask various questions related to the data, and the questions can be, what has happened? Why has it happened? When did it happen? How much of it happened? Or I could ask a question such as, when will it happen? What is it that is going to happen? And what if the trend continues, what's going to happen? So this primarily is a difference between what a lot of people term as business intelligence and analytics. So if you look at the reactive form of asking questions, it's more related to what's happened in the past. That's business intelligence for you. It's trying to understand, it's trying to decipher, it's trying to make sense of data, what's happened in the past. So it's going to ask questions like, what happened, where exactly is the problem, how many, how often, what actions are needed. But what analytics can do for you is actually get you into a mode which is more proactive. It's going to help you ask questions, what if these trends continue? What's going to happen? What's the best that can happen? What will happen next, and why is this happening? So if you see the difference, there is one which is more reactive, which is trying to analyze data. Second is more proactive. It's going to try and ask a question, what's likely to happen? And that's more relevant for us today. The same concept plotted on a graph trying to understand how exactly we can leverage this for either governance or competitive advantage in an organization. If you look at the bottom tier, that's a green part of the chart, and the blue, which is the higher end. The green part actually talks about, again, more reactive. So this is what a lot of organizations, when we go to in local government, into state government, and also ministries, they talk about, they do a little bit of this. They do try to understand what's historic, what's been happening, and so on. But not many of them are trying to actually get into the next level, which is a predictive part. And that's what is the real key, if you ask me. But it's going to obviously take the evolution curve. We're going to adopt it over a period of time. We're not expecting people to take giant steps. It's going to be baby step approaches. And what this leads to is, this is what we offer as a platform. This is my sales pitch. And one of the things which Joyjeet brought out in his discussions was land reforms and property transaction registration. We believe one of the key elements in that aspect is trying to understand and dedupe land or property names and addresses. So when I stay in a building called Seawinds in Bandra West in Mumbai, do I as a system have the ability to understand how many such flats are available in that apartment and whether the same flat is being resold? So you need to have an ability to dedupe it, which is very simply matching it against an existing database with a new entry which is coming in. So that's something which we have as part of the platform and the framework which we have created, which is our data integration layer. And the next is the analytics, which is what I briefly spoke about earlier. Then comes the reporting, which a lot of people are already doing. And on top of that, the business solutions. Specifically to government, what is it that we have and what can governance and urban governance do with a lot of intelligence applications are related to essentially improving citizen centricity. This is more about managing citizen-centric programs. Next is increasing revenue and reducing operating cost, optimizing operations. This is again related to citizen services. The next is smart grids, load forecasting, how we can help in ensuring that we have enough power supply. There was an article today in the Times of India in New Delhi where we said that yesterday was one of the hottest days in summer in Delhi. At the same time, we consumed the maximum power, close to around 5,000 plus megawatts. So whether as a country, as a generating outfit and then a distribution outfit, do we have the ability to maintain continuous supply and ensure that there is no down supply or no supply. And then we move on to cyber policing, intelligence-led policing, and tax fraud management. I will go into one page of each of these applications to give you a view of what exactly are the best practices and how governments across the globe are adopting this to better citizens and their own lives. So let's start with healthcare. I've plotted on the same graph what exactly are organizations doing. We have a couple of implementations which are today case studies in India where we have implemented some smart applications for healthcare sector. So there's this organization called Arogyashree in Andhra Pradesh which implemented the SaaS system for trying to understand how exactly their program has been implemented in terms of reach and in terms of performance. And the third step which they are undertaking as we speak is trying to predict what is it they will need both in terms of infrastructure and in terms of manpower to sufficiently address the growing concerns of health-related issues in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So if you look at the curve, they have the ability today to ask a question, how many patients registered as of today morning, and how many patients